Do you also find it hard choosing climbing shoes? Well, you're definitely not alone. In this video, I'll give you 4 tips that you should consider before buying your next or maybe your first set of climbing shoes. And also show you just a little bit of my own lineup. And if you are a beginner and looking for a first set of rock climbing shoes, then there's a few things that you should certainly pay attention to. And if you're a bit more experienced, maybe there are some things here you can learn too. But let's dive into it. First of all, ask yourself what type of climbing you're doing. Is it hard, steep, overhanging sport routes, crack climbing, slabs, multi-pitches, big walls, or even bouldering? Because the range of rock climbing shoes out there is absolutely immense, and it's not trivial finding the right shoes for the right purpose. You can basically divide rock climbing shoes into 2 major categories. First of all, there are soft rubber shoes, and secondly, stiff shoes. Soft rubber shoes like the Sportiva Futura are great for smearing and standing on large, rounded surfaces. They are super soft and can be bent and twisted, which means that they will follow whatever motion you make with your feet. As the rubber is soft, it really sinks in and curves along the features of the wall. Stiff shoes, however, are great for standing on small edges, but performs less well on roundy, slopey surfaces. A good example of a stiff shoe is the Sportiva Solution, which is a perfect shoe for standing on small edges. A more extreme example of a stiff shoe though is the Sportiva TC Pro, which is a super comfortable, flat shoe, perfect for long days in the mountains. The steeper the climb, the more downturned and aggressive a climbing shoe you want. Your foot then literally becomes a large hook that you can use to climb features, let's say in a steep overhang. And the Sportiva Solution is another great example of this. And just before we continue, I'm not sponsored by Sportiva, but I guess their shoes kind of fits me quite well. However, there's a lot of other brands out there who makes excellent rock climbing shoes in all price ranges. So what about looking up Scarpa, Tenaya, 510, Ukun, or maybe Red Chili? Another thing you should consider whether you want a shoe with laces or Velcro. With Velcro, it is easier and faster getting in and out of the shoe, while laces gives you more precision in terms of fitting the shoe to your foot. Secondly, there's a general consensus about downsizing your climbing shoes. My regular street shoe size is 45, and I would downsize to 43 for my performance climbing shoes. But for my comfortable multi-pitch shoes, I would probably only downsize 1 size, or even not downsize at all. If you are a beginner, I would generally be careful about pushing it too far. I would recommend that you start getting a comfortable shoe like the Sportiva Finale or the Scarpa Vapor that are really comfortable shoes. When you're just starting out climbing, you should only focus on having fun, not whether you can endure the pain from having your toes bent in a tiny climbing shoe. And you don't need the precision and performance you get from downsizing anyway when you're still new to climbing. If you're more experienced though, I would definitely want to downsize. Downsizing gives you more precision and sensitivity as your foot will fill out the whole shoe. You'll feel more contacts to the rock and you'll not slide around in the shoe, and this is essential when moving up through the grades. The first time you try a new pair of climbing shoes that you downsize, they will probably feel way too small. This could obviously be because you have downsized it too much, but it could also just mean that you need to break in your shoes. And this is done through climbing. Climbing shoes are quite flexible and will adapt to your feet, so you shouldn't worry too much. Otherwise, here's 2 simple tricks that you can use when breaking in your shoes and you feel they're too small. First of all, keep the paper that the shoes comes with. By wrapping this around your foot, you can actually pretty easily slide into the shoe. Another tip is to warm up the shoe so the rubber becomes flexible. Boil a liter of water and damp the shoe a bit. This will heat up the rubber and it becomes easier getting the shoe on. Obviously, you cannot do this each time you go climbing, and especially not outdoors, but it will help you breaking in the shoe. Have you actually tried this, or have you done anything different to break in your shoes? Then let me know in the comment section below. When talking climbing shoes, there's a lot of ground to cover. You have probably discussed brands and specific models with your climbing buddies, and not all shoes will fit you perfectly. So my third tip is probably pretty obvious. Try them on. Go to your local climbing store and try different models from different brands. And if you go online, then order different sizes and try them out. Yes, I know that you'll probably have to pay for returning the pairs that you do not keep, but it's a good investment. Finding the right climbing shoe for you will take time. And if you're new to rock climbing, you'll also realize that the first pair of climbing shoes you buy will not suit you further down the road. And you will also discover that you probably need different climbing shoes for different situations. There's a lot of climbing shoes available on the market. I've already briefly talked about the Sportiva Solution and the Sportiva Futura, which are performance shoes targeted more advanced climbers. If you're just starting out, pick something comfortable. The Sportiva Otaki is a great choice. It has a fairly wide front foot and is not as downturned and aggressive as the more performance-oriented shoes, but not completely flat either. Or check out the Sportiva Finale. This is actually the shoe that I bought for my daughter when she started climbing recently. Myself, I actually started with the Sportiva Ratana in my regular street shoe size. But now I mainly climb with the Sportiva Solution and boulder with the Sportiva Futura. And on long multi-pitches, I climb in the Sportiva TC Pro. What climbing shoes did you end up with? Let me know by leaving a comment below. My final tip is not around getting new shoes though, but how to make old shoes new again. Once the rubber on your climbing shoes starts wearing out, you can actually have a professional putting on a new sole. This is called resoling. By doing this, you almost get a new pair of shoes, but for less money. I use a resoling company in Arco in Italy called Rock Service on Via Ferrara. But if you don't find yourself located in Arco these days, then you can actually ship a package of shoes to them for about 30 euros per couple of shoes. And that is way cheaper than paying the 140 euro that you would pay for a new pair of Sportiva Solutions. So now you're ready to go shopping for shoes, right? And if you have already bought climbing shoes, then let me know in the comment sections below what you ended up with and why.